So by now, you've been successfully installing the operating system FreeBSD, and we were selecting a 32-bit version, the i386. And right now, it would be time to start getting used to Unix-like operating systems. And we will begin at the very basic, which would be like how to navigate around in the file system. So moving around and locate our position would be perfect, and also logging in, of course. So let's take our newly installed FreeBSD machine. The first screen that you see is that we are able to log in, and then you just enter your name for the user. Now we only have the root user if you were following our example, and then it asks for password. You just type and press return. So this is, of course, we are going to take everything from scratch, so beginners will like this. I think this is also good if you want to use Linux also, because it's an POSIX standard operating system, a Unix-like operating system that also as well, so you will have use for it everywhere actually. So right now in FreeBSD you can see that we are logged in as root, because you can see root followed at the host name of the server, new server, and then you see a hash mark over there. This means that we are logged in as the root user. This will be different. In case you want to see where you're standing in the operating system, you just type the command pwd, and it tells us that we are standing in the root home folder. If we want to list directories to display them, you can type ls, and it displays what's inside of the current directory here. These are called dot files and contain settings. The ones with the dot followed there. So, for example, dot CSHRC is like settings for the Korn shell. However, if you want to display browse not where you're standing, you can simply do ls/. This will display what's inside of the root directory. And here you can see that everything is files here, of course, because in FreeBSD, in Unix-like system, everything is a file. This is not very nice. It's not easy to see what is what here. If I do ls, and then I make something called flag options here. This should give better detail. This should show everything more in a list. So when I type that command, which looked like this, it will list instead of giving it in the other view, which I cannot exactly know what is the name of it. The type of view, but this is a list view, so you can see here is the file name and the date of the last modification, and then you can see permissions on this side. We will explain those later. You can see the owner, which is root, and the group of the file. And to know if something is a directory, you can check over here on this left hand side. It stands a D for a directory. For example, this is not a directory, entropy. Dev here is a directory, you can see. It stands D there where I hold the mouse cursor. So right now we've been only looking around in the operating system by using the ls command. Let's make something more simple. If you type clear, you just clear the screen. So you don't see the old information. Let's say that you want to display in detail what is in the current directory. Then you do ls followed by list mode. And this is a little bit more readable with lesser files here. And if you want to get the detail of the file size, because this is here's the file size for each file, and it's in I think this is bytes if I'm not wrong. If you want it to be human readable, you type ls l and followed by an h. And that was correct, it was bytes, because here you see it was now displaying everything in bytes here. Not bad. And if you want to have, if you want to list every single file, even files that shouldn't be visible, let's see, I think you can put the option A here. And then you see these two files here, which normally are hidden. So to be honest, you will mainly use the ls command a lot, and you can put the, don't forget the human readable, which is very easy if you want to see the byte size or megabytes, things like that. And if you want to, let me think of an example here. If you want to repeat the last command, you press the arrow key on the keyboard up and you get the last command. If you press it up one more time, you get the next command and the next command, and you can go back and things like that. In case you wonder where these are coming from, I'm going to clear the screen first. They are coming from something called history. If you type history, you see all the commands that you typed in an history log here. So for example, let's say that you want to repeat a command, but you don't want to browse by arrowing up to it. So the last one is here. I mean the one that we were typing, what to say, yeah, the last command we were making. If you want to, for example, to run the clear command, which was over here, here you can press arrow key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, or 5 times, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 6 times, I guess. And then instead of doing that, you can make an exclamation mark followed by the number here on the left hand side, which should be 5. Let's see if this works. It did. So then you can get back to the commands very easily, which might be overcourse, but it can be nice to know. If you type if you just type history, you will see these commands. If I'm not wrong, let me try now. If you type history C, I think that you clear the history. That's right. So history C, the option C here, will clear the history for us, in case you want to hide your commands, the previous ones. We've been just navigating around, so you might ask, how do I move in the file system? Remember that PWD, then we were checking where we were standing, because there we see the location here. Let's say that I want to navigate to USR. You use the CD, change directory it stands for, followed by the directory you want to walk to. And here you can see that we are in the /USR directory over here also. And then you might wonder, what was this little character here? This little character means home directory, and so that can be good to remember. So now if you want to see where you are, imagine if you didn't see this information here, then you can just make PWD and you see that you're standing in the USR directory. So let's tell while we are standing in a USR directory. This directory contains system files, and it contains installed programs and things like that, which can be nice to know. And you might also ask now, okay, now since we know how to move around, if I want to get to my home directory, how can I get there easily? You have a very simple command, which is just typing cd, like change directory, without any following options. This should take you home to your home directory, and that's correct. You can see. So you might think right now, like, oh shit, do I really need to study so many commands just to be able to run Unix-like operating system? Well, I can say that in the beginning it's very much, it's a bit tiring to learn all the commands, but once you get hang of them, you really, it's like speaking a language. It's very, you will get accustomed to it. Some are accustomed to using shells and things like that, but if you're really new to it, it can feel a lot of information. Good news is that if you know how to use the commands in FreeBSD, they are the same in Linux, they are the same in, in all Unix-like operating system as I know. But I might be wrong there. But in most systems they are so similar. It's I think that's part of POSIX, to be honest with you. But I'm not really sure, so I will let that be untold. All right. So we've been moving around. Very simple. An advice is that if you don't want to type all the directories manually, when you make a change directory, for example, you can use the tab key. When you press tab, you get suggestions. So you can just type, for example, let's say I want to go to the should we take the same directory, USR? If I type U and make a tab, it suggests USR. If I press tab again, you see what is inside that directory. If I want to go to the binary directory where programs are, I just type BU and BI and press tab. I will get suggested there also. And if I press tab, it continues. Very simple, right? So these are the commands that I think you're using quite often. If you want to go one directory backward, you can go cd space period. And then you see we were going one directory backward. We were standing in USR bin, and then we were going to USR. You can see it here also. There's two ways there. Not that hard, right? And I think that if it's a bit, I'm not sure if it's overcourse, but if you want to see how much space you have available, you can use df followed by the option h. The reason here why I was taking h as an option is to make it human readable, else we would see it in bytes instead of kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, which is more easy for humans to understand. Here when I typed df command, you can see the file system over here, for example, the DA0, which is the disk 0, and partition 2 contains of 1.9 gigabyte. We have used 289 megabyte of it. Available is 1.5 gig. Capacity 16% has been used. And then you can see that it's mounted on the root. As a / alone like this is the root. And you can see some more information here about the rest of the partitions. This is a very useful command to see if there are any disk space available. So these were some of the basic commands that can be important to study and to get hang of. The next step will be in the next video that we will manage users to see different users, like what is a normal user, what is a root user. We compare them a bit, and then we can set password, change password, lock them out, and adding and removing them simply. So so bear with me that studying Unix-like operating system takes some time to get hang of. But once you get hang of them, it's a really fantastic system, and it's a really lovely server-side system. And now since we have, for example, Ubuntu Linux, it's I would say that even if I really like FreeBSD and the BSD systems a lot, I would say that I really appreciate the Ubuntu system as a desktop or programming system also. So I mean that if we mix all the fantastic operating systems, like using FreeBSD the ways we want to use it, like a server, for example, or perhaps you want to make it as a desktop also, it's possible. I promise you it's possible, but it takes a lot more time and effort to make it. But if you prefer a desktop system, you should definitely look at Linux, GNU Linux Ubuntu. It's a really fantastic system. But okay, to my point, once you learn the Linux, not Linux, once you learn the shell commands, you really have use for them for both FreeBSD, OpenBSD, and for example, all the Linux systems and things like that. So it's well, to put energy in it is worth it, totally worth it. So once you will get to a shell sometimes. You will not always use graphical interfaces, because shell, to know the shell also is very good when you want to make scripts or you want to program making automations for FreeBSD and things like that. Okay, so let's move over to the next lesson.